Last week, a geopolitical earthquake struck the Middle East, sending shockwaves across the globe. The already tense region, fraught with simmering conflicts and deep-seated rivalries, was thrust into a new era of uncertainty and peril. The Middle East's fragile peace shattered, the delicate balance of power irrevocably disrupted by a sudden and devastating escalation. Years of diplomatic maneuvering and cautious negotiations lay in ruins, replaced by the harsh reality of open warfare. As Israel and Iran plunged into open war, the world watched with bated breath, fearing the potential for a catastrophic regional conflagration. The long-feared scenario had finally materialized, transforming a Cold War into a hot one. On June 12, 2025, a date that will forever be etched in the annals of Middle Eastern history, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a meticulously planned and daringly executed military offensive. The operation's primary objective was striking Iranian nuclear sites, facilities long suspected of being at the heart of a clandestine weapons program. Beyond the nuclear facilities, Operation Rising Lion also targeted key Iranian military targets, strategic assets deemed critical to the country's ability to wage war. This was a bold preemptive attack, a high-stakes gamble aimed at neutralizing Iran's offensive capabilities before they could be brought to bear. The strikes killed top Iranian commanders, dealing a significant blow to the country's military leadership and command structure. The operation also targeted key infrastructure, crippling Iran's ability to respond effectively and hindering its war-making potential. The overarching goal was aiming to cripple Iran's nuclear ambitions, setting back its program by years and diminishing its capacity to develop nuclear weapons. Iran responded within hours, demonstrating its resolve and signaling its intention to retaliate with full force. The response came in the form of launching missile barrages, a relentless and indiscriminate assault on Israeli territory. These missiles rained down on Israeli cities, targeting civilian populations and vital infrastructure. This ignited a cycle of escalating violence, pushing the two nations closer to the abyss of total war. Decades of animosity and strategic rivalry, fueled by ideological differences and geopolitical ambitions, finally erupted into direct conflict, shattering the illusion of a contained rivalry. This is pulling the region to the brink of a wider war, threatening to engulf neighboring countries and destabilize the entire Middle East. The world now faces the daunting task of preventing this conflict from spiraling out of control. The initial strike served as a jarring wake-up call, shattering the fragile peace that had barely held. The violence escalated rapidly after these initial exchanges, spiraling into a full-blown conflict that threatened to engulf the entire region. The situation deteriorated rapidly. On June 13th, the conflict took a significant turn. Iran, in a dramatic escalation, fired a barrage of missiles across Israel, targeting major cities and strategic infrastructure. These attacks resulted in numerous casualties and widespread panic, as civilians scrambled for safety amidst the chaos. The air raid sirens became a constant haunting reminder of the ever-present danger. In response, Israel launched a series of targeted strikes, reportedly killing several top Iranian nuclear scientists, dealing a significant blow to Iran's nuclear program. These strikes also devastated the Natanz enrichment facility, a critical component of Iran's nuclear infrastructure, setting back their progress significantly. The damage was extensive, raising concerns about potential long-term environmental consequences. By June 15th, just 2 days later, both nations were reeling from the effects of relentless attacks, each side determined to inflict maximum damage on the other. The human cost was staggering, with hundreds dead or wounded on both sides, overwhelming medical facilities and stretching resources to their breaking point. Millions were forced to seek shelter from the constant barrage of rockets, their lives disrupted and their sense of security shattered. The psychological toll of the conflict was immense. The conflict reached a new level of intensity when Israeli airstrikes directly hit Tehran's state TV broadcasting center. The attack occurred during a live broadcast, abruptly cutting off the transmission and sending shockwaves through the nation. In retaliation, Iran successfully struck a critical oil refinery located in Haifa, causing a massive fire and disrupting Israel's energy supply. Amidst the escalating crisis, the International Atomic Energy Agency issued a stern warning, expressing grave concerns about the potential consequences of the attacks on nuclear facilities. The agency emphasized that the destruction of Natanz could have far-reaching and long-term consequences, potentially leading to a humanitarian and environmental disaster. As the week drew to a close, the world watched with bated breath, hoping for a sign that the conflict might de-escalate. However, despite international pressure and mounting casualties, neither side showed any signs of backing down, raising fears of a prolonged and devastating conflict. In this devastating conflict, civilians on both sides, regardless of nationality or creed, have paid a terrible price. The human cost is staggering, with ordinary people caught in the crossfire, their lives irrevocably altered. Over 220 Iranians, including children, have died, their families now grappling with unimaginable grief and loss. The streets of Tehran echo with sorrow. Hospitals are overwhelmed with the wounded, their resources stretched to the breaking point as doctors and nurses work tirelessly to save lives amidst the chaos. In Israel, missile strikes have killed at least 24 and injured hundreds, leaving a trail of devastation and despair in their wake. Paramedics struggle to reach the injured amidst the ongoing attacks, forcing families into shelters where they huddle together, seeking safety and comfort in the face of relentless bombardment. The fear is palpable, the future uncertain. Attacks on hospitals, a violation of international law, and media buildings in Iran silencing voices and hindering the flow of information during a time when it is needed most. And mass evacuations in Tehran as people desperately try to escape the escalating violence, creating scenes of pandemonium and desperation, have created chaos and fear, turning once vibrant streets into scenes of panic and uncertainty. Displacement is rampant, with hundreds of thousands fleeing their homes, seeking refuge wherever they can find it, carrying only what they can carry. Daily life has vanished, replaced by an eerie silence in the streets, replaced by a struggle for survival amid destruction, as people sift through the rubble, searching for loved ones and clinging to hope. The war's true cost is measured in shattered lives and lost futures, a legacy of pain that will endure long after the fighting stops. The world has responded with alarm, but unity is elusive. The U.S. urged de-escalation but signaled support for Israel, while President Trump's call for Tehran's evacuation heightened tensions. The UN and global leaders condemned the violence, warning of a broader regional war. The IAEA highlighted the nuclear risks, and oil markets reeled after the Haifa refinery attack. Regional neighbors fear being drawn in, as the conflict threatens global stability. Despite urgent diplomacy, a ceasefire remains out of reach. The greatest fear now is regional escalation. Israel's strikes on Iranian soil and Iran's missile barrages have shattered old boundaries. The risk of miscalculation or proxy involvement, especially from groups like Hezbollah, could ignite a multi-front war. Scenarios range from a grinding war of attrition to a catastrophic ground invasion. Attacks on nuclear and oil sites threaten global security and energy supplies. Humanitarian disaster looms, with millions at risk of displacement. The world watches anxiously as the region teeters on the edge of chaos.